Week 16 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few prospects I look to watch and possibly stash this week. The first prospect, Jasson Dominguez of the New York Yankees. So Jasson Dominguez, we saw him come up last season for a cup of coffee with the New York Yankees before he went down with injury, and he tore it up, showing mighty power, and was a spark for that Yankee team late in September. But this season, it's been coming off the Tommy John injury he had last season, then an oblique injury when he was on rehab assignment, and now it's looking like he's going to come back sooner than later to playing rehab games, is Jasson Dominguez, and it's possibly he'll be back before August. So Dominguez, number one prospect in the Yankee system, 25 prospect in all Major League Baseball, and he's available right now in 82% of fantasy leagues. Like I said, last season he came up for a small stint with the New York Yankees and 4 home runs in 31 at-bats is Dominguez, so he's definitely someone to keep an eye on. Obviously, this Yankee team, they're reeling and they're hurting for offense besides Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. And like I said, Dominguez could bring power, and this Yankee team he'd be playing right now, obviously, with Giancarlo Stanton out. But with his injury with the oblique, it's been a problem. So Dominguez this season in the minor leagues, the Tommy John before he went down with the oblique, 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, 87 at-bats, a 356 batting average, and a 404 on base. If Dominguez, like I said, he could come back sooner than later to play some AAA games, and then the Yankees could get him up to the major leagues. He could pay dividends for this New York Yankee team that's desperate for offense, like I said, and pay dividends as well for fantasy owners. So right now, Jasson Dominguez, he's definitely a highly touted prospect and number one prospect in the Yankee system that could be up sooner than later, coming off injury. And then this week, next prospect, Coby Mayo, the Baltimore Orioles. So Coby Mayo, I've been talking about him on and off over the last few weeks here in Baltimore. They just have nowhere to play him right now, and that's a reason I believe he's not up in the major leagues. So right now, Mayo, he's owned in 16% of fantasy leagues out there, in 84% of fantasy leagues. Number 2 prospect in this Baltimore Orioles system, and he's been one of the best players all season in the minor leagues, is Mayo, and the time is now to call him up to the major leagues. But like I said, there's nowhere to play him pretty much. They got to find the spot, either first base if they don't want to play O'Hearn, or Mountcastle because he plays first and third base, is Mayo. Just play him at third base and move Gunnar Henderson back to shortstop if they want to do it, because he's tearing it up this season. 22 home runs, 63 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, a 305 batting average, and a 385 on base. So Mayo's done it all, like I said, down there in the minor leagues. Number 3 prospect for the Baltimore Orioles, number 15 prospect in all the major leagues. And right now, he's someone to go out there and definitely keep an eye on, because I thought he'd be up by now, and they just got to find the spot where to play Mayo. So he's definitely someone to watch, and he's got major power, and he did it last season as well in the minor leagues, 29 home runs. So could that translate to big power in the major leagues? I believe it can for Mayo. So right now, well, he's still out there in 84% of fantasy leagues, and I think the call-up's coming any week or even any day now. He's definitely someone to stash and watch this week. Next prospect, Jackson Jobe of the Detroit Tigers. So the Tigers dealing with tons of injuries in their rotation right now. Cameron Mize, he's been down over the last couple of weeks. Reese Olson recently just went on the injured list as well. Kenta Maeda, they sent him to the bullpen. I know Matt Manning as well, he's in the AAA IL as well. So a lot of injuries. And Jackson Jobe, I know he's possibly a year away, but they might have no choice but to call him up, is this Detroit Tiger team. And he's the number 11 prospect in all Major League Baseball. Number 2 prospect in the system for the Detroit Tigers. And he's out there right now in tons of fantasy leagues still. But like I said, any day now, he could possibly be called up and out there in 90% of fantasy leagues. So far in Double-A this season and Single-A for Jobe, 11 games started, 2-2 record, a 1.51 ERA, 0.82 WHIP, 53 strikeouts, and opponents' batting averages are 117 on the season. So he's mowing hitters down, is Jackson Jobe. Maybe they want to see him in AAA, but like I said, with all these injuries for the Detroit Tigers, maybe he'll be up here sooner than later. And definitely if someone else goes down, I think he's going to be up on this Major League roster, because they're dropping like flies, like I said, over there for this Detroit Tiger pitching rotation, unfortunately. And Jobe considered one of the top pitching prospects in all Major League Baseball. So right now, definitely something to keep an eye on out there in 90% of fantasy leagues, and major upside for sure. Jobe has the next prospect is another pitcher, Noah Schultz of the Chicago White Sox. So this White Sox team, we know, have a fire sale at the trade deadline next week. is this Chicago White Sox team. Erick Fedde, there's definitely a possibility he could go in a deal. We saw Chris Flexen possibly could go or get designated for assignment if they don't get him off the books as well. And we've seen Drew Thorpe have major success so far in the major leagues with the Chicago White Sox team. And Noah Schultz, he's the future as well, I believe, for this team. So right now, the minor leagues, the limited the innings, only 58 2/3 on the year. 0-3 record, 15 games started at 2.91 ERA, 0.92 whip, opponent's batting average of 193, and 76 strikeouts. So a big kid down there at 6'9", 220, where he's going to have, obviously, a good advantage, especially as a southpaw as well, is Noah Schultz. And Noah Schultz, like I said, they sell a couple pieces off at the deadline, which most likely is going to happen, I believe, for the Chicago White Sox team. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if we see him in the rotation. So right now, while he's out there, is Schultz 98% of fantasy leagues and one of the top pitching prospects as well in Major League Baseball. Number 18 overall, number 2 in the White Sox system prospect. He's someone to keep an eye on and watch, and possibly stash as well in the 5th and final prospect. I look to watch and stash is Rhett Lauder of the Cincinnati Reds. He's the number 20 prospect in all Major League Baseball, out there in 98% of fantasy leagues, and the number 1 prospect in the Cincinnati Reds organization. So I know his stats haven't been great this season in Double-A. Is Lauder, 3-4 record, 4.81 ERA, 17 games started, 78 2/3, 82 strikeouts, a 1.33 whip. But this team, they're struggling in the rotation. I know they got to jump a lot of teams to make a wild card spot. They only 4.5, 5 games out as a Cincinnati Red team. So right now, a couple injuries in the rotation. Pitchers struggling as well. And like I said, he's the number 1 prospect in this system is Rhett Lauder. And also, 22 years old, I think he should get some experience, even though the Reds most likely won't make the playoffs, and they possibly could trade a piece or two off at the deadline here to get Lauder some experience. And like I said, number 1 prospect in the system and 20th in baseball, it's definitely a possibility he could be up in the next few weeks. That's a few prospects I look to watch and possibly stash for Week 16 of the fantasy baseball season.